Hello, I'm Liam Jenkins and welcome to highlights of the 2011 Formula SimRacing World Championship. Round 13 is the Italian Grand Prix, taking place on one of the oldest F1 circuits on the calendar, a track which features plenty of long straights and only 8 corners. Monza will put the drivers' concentration to the absolute limits. Taking his second career pole, Mikko Pymäläinen set the fastest time during qualifying. Bono Huis just edged out Morgan Moran for second, and Yannick Lapchin performed very well to qualify in fourth. Jim Paresis achieved his best qualifying result in 5th, and Jaakko Mykkänen set the 6th fastest time. Driving for Twister Racing, Karim Vetsenberg would start in 7th, ahead of Dejan Kostadinov for GT Omega Racing. Lee Morris qualified in 9th, making it a successful session for World F1, and Patrick de Wit rounded out the top 10. Blair Disney would start in 11th, ahead of Martin Gosby for Go Speed Racing, and a disappointing result for Dennis Earl had the Matt Corp driver qualify in 13th, ahead of Dimitri de Matos for Twister Racing. To the race start, and it was Jaakko Mykkänen who easily had the best launch off the line. Mikko Pymäläinen had a clean enough getaway to stay in front of Bono Huis into the braking zone. Mykkänen passed Paresis and challenged Laptin, and de Wit broke incredibly late up the inside, gaining 4 positions. Fortunately, the entire field managed to cleanly negotiate through the tricky opening corners. But into the Rogge chicane, Huis locked up and was forced to take to the gravel. He fed back in behind Moran, and meanwhile Paresis also came off the track, apparently suffering from technical issues with his vehicle. Mykkänen again challenged Lapchin into the Ascari, but this time the Finn stuck the pass. De Wit then had a sniff at Lapchin down the back straight, but it was Lapchin who outbroke himself into the Parabolica, dropping him behind de Wit into 6th place. After his first lap mistake, Bono Huis quickly retook his 2nd place from Morgan Moran with a simple move down the start-finish straight. Lap 3 and Lapchin again outbroke himself, this time into the first turn. The train of cars behind slowed drastically through the chicane, and Martin Gosby was caught out, hitting Hurl and losing his front wing. Lapchin dropped in behind Morris and Kostadinov, who were fighting it out over 6th place. At the front, Mikko Pymäläinen had created a small gap back to Bono Huis, and the Finn was now in an ideal position to take his first win. In 3rd, Morgan Moran was keeping Huis in his sights, and Jaakko Mykkänen remained in 4th ahead of de Wit in 5th. Morris and Kostadinov continued to battle over 6th, with Morris clearly having the advantage of the higher speed down the long straights. Just behind, Vetsenberg was fighting Lapchin for 8th, and Blair Disney was struggling on the Monza circuit, losing out to Hurl, de Matos and Mohamed Patel. Further behind, Go Speed driver Jon-Erik Saxon was busy showing off his reflexes after a very hairy moment through the Ascari. Things turned ugly in the midfield train on lap 7 when Vetsenberg attempted to pass Lapchin on the inside of the first Lesmo. Lapchin didn't anticipate the move and contact was made, sending Lapchin careering off the track and into the tyre barriers. As Kostadinov and Morris kept up their fight, Dennis Hurl became involved, and with the cars travelling 3 abreast into the tight chicane, Hurl completely missed his braking point and took the escape road. Lee Morris also cut the chicane and so was forced to give up the position to Kostadinov. The Bulgarian driver didn't waste any time establishing a gap back to Morris, slowly pulling away and beginning his pursuit of 5th place. Back at the front, Mikko Pymäläinen was being reeled in by Bono Huis, and on lap 11 Huis made the pass into the Rogge chicane for the race lead. However, Huis didn't appear to be faster than the Matt Corp driver, and over the following laps Pymäläinen was held up by the world champion, unable to retake the position. In 5th place, Patrick de Wit's race ended prematurely for the 2nd time in a row when the Dutchman lost control over the curb and slid helplessly into the Armco barrier. In 3rd place, Morgan Moran couldn't set a pace fast enough to escape from Jaakko Mykkänen, and on lap 20 the Precision Motorsports driver made a simple pass down the front straight to take over the final podium position. In 7th place, Lee Morris appeared to be holding up the 6 cars behind him. Hurl, Saxon, Patel, van der Linden and both of the Twister cars were constantly swapping positions, but Morris's higher top speed prevented anyone from escaping the train. Some very close side-by-side driving was occurring on all parts of the circuit, and while there was some tyre rubbing of the cars, generally the drivers were doing a great job of keeping it clean. Eventually, Dennis Hurl made it clear of Morris and established a decent gap before the pit stops. Morgan Moran was the first of the front runners to pit, hoping that an early stop would help him leap Mykkänen, but the ATR driver emerged the pits immediately behind Hurl, and being held up he lost any hope of passing Mykkänen through the stops. A few laps later, both Pymäläinen and Mykkänen came into the pit lane, and Pymäläinen had an awkward split-second decision to make when Mykänen's pit box turned out to be a little too close for comfort. Mikkonen comfortably held on to his third place, and while an early stop hadn't worked for Moran, it worked wonders for his teammate Blair Disley, with the Australian lapping several of the midfield drivers to come out in 7th place, just in front of the Lee Morris train. Twister's strategy of staying out late didn't work. Both Vetsenberg and De Matos lost positions, and Mohamed Patel was handed a stop-and-go penalty for cutting a chicane, despite gaining next to no advantage. On lap 30, the midfield train started to fall apart, with several incidents occurring over a short period of time. After driving a mistake-free race, Lee Morris eventually made a blunder out of the Roglia chicane, losing 2 positions and releasing both Saxon and Vetsenberg. However, on the following lap, Saxon then span his car out of the opening chicane, dropping him all the way back down into 12th. Further ahead, a slight mistake from Karim Vetsenberg was all that was needed to destroy his Twister racing machine, and after a brief battle, De Matos lost traction out of the Roglia chicane and spun Morris around, causing Parisis to lose his front wing. De Matos waited for Morris to recover, slowing right down and waiting for the Ward F1 car to pass him. Meanwhile, Parisis cut the Ascari with his damaged car a little too ambitiously and was handed a stop-and-go penalty. At the front of the race, Bonoquist had found his pace, and he was easily the quickest man on track, comfortably maintaining the gap back to Mikko Puumalainen. Jaakko Mikkonen was slowly but surely closing on Puumalainen, but he was fast running out of time if he wanted to challenge his fellow countrymen for the position. With the Monza circuit being incredibly harsh on the brakes, it wasn't surprising to see some failures. John-Eric Saxon's brakes gave out on lap 48 as the Go-Speed driver ploughed helplessly across the gravel and into the Armco. With just 3 laps remaining, a combination of bad traffic and a minor mistake into the Lesmo dropped Puumalainen into the hands of Mikkonen. Now close enough to enjoy a healthy slipstream, Mikkonen quickly closed the gap, and on the final lap the 2 Finns went side by side into the braking zone of turn 1. Mikkonen had the inside, but he shut the door on Puumalainen and contact was made. At that exact moment, Patel's brakes failed into turn 1, and he slid across the track in between both Mikkonen and Puumalainen. Taking victory number 12 for the 2011 season, Bonoquist won the Italian Grand Prix with a gap of over 7 seconds to his teammate. Jaakko Mikkonen achieved his best result since round 4, and a disappointed Mikko Puumalainen rounded off the top 3, finishing on the podium for the 3rd time in a row. Morgan Moran finished a lonely race in 4th place ahead of Dejan Kostadinov in 5th and Dennis Hurl in 6th. Clever pit strategy helped Blair Disley finish in 7th, and Lee Morris held off Dimitri de Matos to take 8th place. Steering clear of all midfield incidents, Marcel van der Linden picked up the last of the points in 10th, and Jim Parisis was the last of the finishers in 11th place. Mikkonen now has a slight edge over Puumalainen in the race for 2nd place, although with 3 rounds still remaining there's still plenty of opportunity for even the Twister drivers of Kirchhoff and Nilsson to quickly catch back up. Disley is kept ahead of Hurl, though the gap is now down to just 2 points, and Moran is now back in the top 10 on equal points with Saxon. In the Constructors, Matt Corp have now overtaken Twister Racing with a mere 5-point gap. With Matt Corp taking more points than Twister in the last 3 rounds, the pressure is on for the boys in blue to retake the 2nd spot. As Too Fast For You failed to score this weekend, ATR Silverline are now just 9 points behind, and down in 8th place, GT Omega Racing have overtaken Fast and Speed. The next round will be the Japanese Grand Prix, and you can watch this race live as it happens. Simply go to www.psrtv.com on the 2nd of October at 5:30 PM GMT. We hope you've enjoyed today's highlights. I'm Liam Jenkins, and we'll see you next round of the Formula SimRacing 2011 World Championship.